Welcome to Give a Heck. I am your host, Dwight Heck, and for much of my life, lived my life in quiet desperation, wondering how I was going to pay the bills, take vacations, save for retirement, and one day wondering if I would get off the hamster wheel of life and have purpose. A life that most of society lives, which takes us to work, then home, then repeat, and pays us hopefully enough just to survive. The harsh truth that most live with more month than money and have no idea how to live life on purpose, not by accident. This ensures the mass majority are living not just financially broke, however, emotionally and mentally as well due to financial pressures. In each episode, I will introduce you to thoughts, ideas, and guests that can help you to learn how you too can live life on purpose, not by accident. Welcome to Give a Heck. On today's show, it's going to be a solo show. It's going to be just me talking about what my origin story is specifically, and my 54th trip around the sun has taught me. Today is my 54th birthday, and I just felt it was time to reflect on how important somebody's origin is and what you've learned throughout your life from your earliest recollections up to where you are today has really set the stage for where you are. Certainly we can break out of learned behaviors from when we were a child, but it takes effort. It's not a fact of just taking a bunch of courses or reading a bunch of books, because it's fine to put stuff in between our 6 inches between our ears. But what isn't fine is the fact that we don't take action, and we just keep on feeding ourselves stuff into our brain, giving ourselves little dopamine hits, little excitements, and we're happy for a moment, and we wonder why we fall off that cliff shortly after we've listened to that exciting podcast or read that exciting book or had a great conversation with somebody, or maybe you went to a conference and you learned a bunch of good things, but within hours, maybe days, you've lost that enthusiasm. That spike of energy is gone. The biggest reason for that is, in order to stay motivated and climbing in life instead of camping, it literally requires you to take action. And sometimes those actions are really hard to do on your own, and that's okay. I've been there. I'm not saying that I haven't had difficulties in my life, but the biggest thing that has helped me change in my life since I was younger is associations, which we'll discuss that and further after I discuss more about my origin story. So some of you are familiar with my origin. Some of you may not be familiar with it. Obviously, like many, grew up in a circumstance where people weren't necessarily always kind. And due to health issues, I was bullied, I was ostracized, and I was uncertain how I was going to deal with life on a day-to-day basis. I hated going to school. I was not a fan of it pretty much my whole life. And due to that, I didn't necessarily perform to the peak of what I could have performed. And why is that? Well, when our 6 inches is clouded or not right between our ears at any age, and we feel helpless or we're suffering from anxiety, wondering what the next day is going to hold, whether or not somebody's going to say something to us or just be outright mean to you, you're sitting on pins and needles, and that's not a great way to live. So when I look back at my life, I could sit in pity of myself and feel sorry for myself and never find anything to change my mindset. And that's what many of us in society have been stuck. We're stuck in that hamster wheel of life. We're stuck in the rat race of going to work, go home, get paid. And we're always feeling helpless between our 6 inches. And the biggest thing that helped me change from the fact of how I was, raised, how I was treated within the school system, and how I reflected and looked upon myself. How did I change all that? Well, I look back due to help from people, right? Different associations, different things that I did read and listen throughout the last 30 years of my life, and I've implemented them. Have I always been successful? Well, no, that would be a lie to say I've always been successful. I'm a working project till the day I die. Till the day I take my last breath, I plan on continually working on the 6 inches between my ears to make sure that I can be the best version of myself. And you're thinking, well, why do I want to be the best version of myself? Because when you want to be a person that serves others, you always got to serve yourself first. You got to love yourself. You got to be happy with what you see in the mirror so that you can be genuine, so you can be vulnerable to other people and actually help them by connecting through something called relationship building, which most people don't even understand really how to connect, how to create a relationship and network with people that can help you level up. So over the last 30 years, I've done lots of that. From at one point in time, doing training and education through cassette tapes, through CDs. Now we have the advent of podcasts, which I constantly utilize, including having the medium myself with my show. And I listen to audiobooks. All those things, including the people I've met, are all associations. And many will hear the word associations, and the first thing that pops into their brain is the association of people. But really, associations are about whatever you associate in your life. What do you connect to? What are you feeding your brain? Our brain is a giant computer, and we do not feed it consistent information that's causing it to think in a different way. Some of us feed our brains information that's toxic and negative, and it keeps you stuck, keeps you camped in life. I'm here to tell you that if you're feeding yourself stuff like that and it's on an entertainment basis, that's great. But if you're utilizing it and you feel terrible after listening to something or watching something or hanging around people, again, that associations is more than people. It's what we listen to, what we put in front of our eyeballs to ingest into our brain, and who we have conversations with. If any of those aren't working for you and you're feeling bad after that experience, it's time to walk away. It's time to go move forward and limit your exposure to things that make you feel anxious, make you feel depressed, and just generally are an energy sucker in your life. We all have too many vampires, energy vampires, that is, in our lives. And until you change your associations, it's going to be really a struggle. And one of the things that I get from people all the time, well, sometimes it's not so easy to get rid of the associations because of the circle of people I hang around with. And how am I going to get rid of that circle? Their family. Well, here's how I do it with family. I limit my exposure to them. You can still love somebody, doesn't mean you have to like them. And if you're forced in a circumstance of family to have family events, go to the event 30 minutes before. Do your, little bit of chit chat, eat your meal, stay for about 30 minutes after and leave. It's okay for you to put defined timelines on how you're going to expose yourself to people that necessarily don't make you feel great. Is it easy? It eventually does get easy. I'm not saying it will be, because all of a sudden people will wonder why you're, showing up at a specific time and leaving, or you might get labeled as the person that, oh, he just comes or she just comes to eat and then run. Oh, well, other people's opinion of you does not have to become your reality, whether they're family or friends. And that's the best way to live. Just do not let other people's reality become yours. Live your reality. Keep on feeding good information between the 6 inches between your ears. Always level up and think to yourself, where do I want to be? I'm currently here and I feel stuck. Where do I want to be? And if you have a hard time and you struggle with that, reach out to people like myself. There's many people out there that would, help you goal set, help you figure out the baby steps to move forward in life, and then connecting the dots, whether that's changing how you associate through a conversation and finding out what, maybe you can't see the forest for the trees. Maybe I can say, well, you know what, that association here that you just told me about, that's one of your anchors. And, sometimes anchors can be good in life, depending on what it is. But if it's an anchor that's holding you back mentally, where you're sad all the time, or, suffering from anxiety, depression, you just can't seem to push yourself forward, usually it's things around us that are causing that. And sometimes we can't see it for ourselves and we need others. So again, reach out to me or reach out to somebody and share with them where you're at. And maybe they can help, set you on a course and be that co-pilot in your life to do course corrections so that you can begin climbing again and not be camped. So one of the things that's happened since I was a kid, obviously, I've done lots of different things. I've been a serial entrepreneur. I've had a few different businesses, but over the last, I'd say 18, 19 years in my finance business, I felt myself getting stuck. And I was literally had let my mindset get to a point where I was camping again. So what did I have to do? I had to look back on how I've self-corrected those issues in my life before. And the hardest thing was what I just talked about, realizing that I had some associations in my life, business associations, private and family, that I needed to disconnect from, that I needed to not necessarily listen to the noise that they were projecting to me, because they were trying to push on me their agenda, an agenda that I didn't necessarily believe in, not even 50%. And at first I did. I convinced myself I did, and ignored the signs of, not being happy. And I was coasting in life. And the biggest shock that happened to me was in 2017 and the loss of my granddaughter. It basically reset my life. It made me reflect on how short life can be, that today is a gift, right? Like they say. And how are you spending your day? What are you doing? Are you utilizing your day to the best of your ability? Does it mean you're going to do it every single day, be able to always climb and course correct and have a great day? No, that's unrealistic. But what I do and what I have done is I've gotten up to a point since about 2017 that I honestly have programmed my brain not to have a bad day. When you're thinking to yourself, what do you mean you don't have bad days? Well, I don't. I have bad moments within my days. And I sit and I realize it, and I've become really cognizant of the fact of having a bad moment, and I'll stop what I'm doing. Because normally if your brain is clouded, you're not being affected of what you're trying to do in your career, your job, your business, or whatever the case may be. And I'll sit and I time myself out. And I sit and I reflect upon what's causing me to feel bad. I'll think about if it's a circumstance of a person or a situation. Am I worrying about it? Well, that's another thing. Worry is useless because it accomplishes nothing. If you worry about things that haven't happened, or you're worrying about things and how you're going to fix them, your brain is clouded, and you're basically torturing yourself. Because if you worry about something that's going to happen up to the point of it happening, and then something happens that you don't want to, so then you're worrying again. So you're worried up to it, then you're worried about it after the fact. What's the solution? Or maybe you're helpless and you can't do anything about it. You just basically torture yourself. So the biggest thing that we need to let go of is worry, right? We worry way too much about circumstances. We need to understand that our associations are key. And so in 2017, I started looking around. It took me about a year. By 2018, I had joined an organization that helped me change my mindset, helped me start to get unstuck. And when I say that they helped me, first and foremost, you can listen to all you want from anybody. You can read all you want, any type of book on self-help, self-improvement, listen to podcasts. It doesn't matter who is giving you information. You have to be the willing. You have to want to change. You need to understand that action may sound, it is a cliche, but action does cure fear. So if you're getting this information, whatever source it's coming to you, you need to put action in place. And I did. It took me a while to get on track. By 2018, I had changed how I was looking at things. And over the next few years, I've kept on working on it, kept on leveling up, watching my associations, looking specifically and listening for people that resonated with me, that I resonated with them, that we could network, that we could connect. And I'm happy to say, just when the pandemic hit, not happy about the pandemic, but I'm happy to say that when the pandemic hit, it was a major wake-up call for me weeks before that happened, before we went into lockdowns. And I joined a specific group, which was a network connection from the group I joined back in 2018. And that group helped me change my mindset. At that point in time, I started doing daily videos. I've done about 570 some odd daily videos, haven't missed a day. It helped improve my confidence. I started listening to different books, things that were going to help level up my mindset, and then implementing what I was reading, having conversations with people about what I was reading so that, you know, you can get somebody's differing opinion. Because at the end of the day, our brain, and you're going to listen to this very closely, our brain doesn't know the difference between a truth and a lie. It's been scientifically proven. Your brain believes what you tell it and what other people tell it. Unless you give it positive input, right, you're going to always get negative output. And when you get that positive input, you also sometimes have to wade through what is connecting to your core values. What do you believe in? And once you understand that, then it's easier to take outside influence of information, take those bite-sized pieces, right, and start implementing them. But it all goes back to that association. So I continue to connect and develop associations, so much so that within months after the lockdown started in March of 2020, I implemented a new brand, the Give a Heck brand that many of you are familiar with. And I had to think to myself, what do I want this brand to stand for? I want it to stand for the fact that we as a society have learned to stop giving a heck. And we get stuck on that hamster wheel of life. We get stuck, camped. We don't know how to climb. We don't know where to turn. And sometimes it's because every time you think somebody's going to help you, there's an ulterior motive. They want something from you. Their hands are out. And again, it's not a bad thing when people want to make money, because we all need money to survive. But that should be the end result of the people that you network and connect with. Their first goal should be to serve you, right? To help you level up, to help you climb in life. So when you're looking at associations, if the first thing they talk about is money and they pitch you and there's no value, immediately there has to be some value. There has to be a connection. There has to be some form of relationship that is they're attempting to form with you and it develop. Because a true coach, a life coach, is going to be somebody that wants to know you, know how you tick, know where you've been. What were your pain points of your past? What are your current pain points? And then work with you to help you get past that and help you connect with others. So some of the people that I met in the spring connected to me to people that helped me get a passion for being a guest on a podcast. Other people connected me to somebody that helped me get my podcast launched. I needed to figure out a trade name. Well, the Give a Heck brand, that name came from one of my friends, Tony, from the 365 Driven Society. And there was many other ideas bounced off of me, but that's the one that resonated the most with me. And in a matter of months, I registered that trade name, applied for a trademark on it. And over 2020, I ended up meeting some great people because, again, it's associations. It's not always what you know, it's who you know and what they know that counts, which is how I ended up leveling up. But don't forget, I had to have wanted it. You have to be willing. You have to be a willing participant in life to utilize proper associations and the associations they can give you through networking. So I got networked to a person that ended up, I wrote a book, which came out in March of 2021, and it is an Amazon bestseller. And my podcast launched just about a year ago, which was in November 2020. Those are all because of associations. But never discount and don't forget, you got to pat yourself on the back. I had to be a person that was willing to want to change. And my biggest desire and willingness to want to change is I was tired of being stuck. I noticed some of the same problems that in the past, as I mentioned, were creeping in. I was feeling some anxiety. I was feeling some depression. I didn't know where I wanted to go. I was just coasting in life. And for those of you that are happy where you're at in life, that's fine. Congratulations to you. But I wasn't. And I needed to implement things that I had learned over the last 30 years. And it just goes to prove we can literally be on a roller coaster in life. You can have everything, all your checks and balances in place, but it doesn't mean that you aren't going to go into the valley of despair once in a while on the roller coaster of life and need to pull yourself out, right? So I've worked really hard at doing that. I'm also working on a coaching course right now to help people in my industry learn how to better help people live better today, retire in comfort, and it's going to sound harsh, die with dignity. Again, there's so many of us out there that are living on that hamster wheel of life. We don't know all the proper steps to put in place to do the three things that I just mentioned. And in my industry, some of you that are listening might not appreciate this, but my industry is broken. It's not just in my country of Canada, it's broken in the US, it's broken around the world because they're very product driven. They're not really relationship driven. They're not focusing on learning people's, what makes them tick, and then building a program around what makes them tick, their pain points and where they want to be. And maybe you don't have any pain points. Maybe you just have never had any proper goal setting or had anybody give two craps about you or literally give a heck about you to help you game plan for life today, life in retirement. And yes, if something happens in a tragedy, what would you do, right? If you were the person that the tragedy happened to, would your family be okay? Just things like that, which all starts in conversation, and why I'm developing a course about 2/3 of the way done it now to help people in my industry go out and be the best version of themselves to ensure that their clients are never being left behind, right? That's the one thing we don't do properly in the world today. We really, in general, most people don't live life on purpose. They're living it by accident. And that mantra of what I talk about, and how to live life on purpose and not by accident, I've been utilizing for 19 years. But in the last, I'd say 18 months, just shy of 2 years, it's become really mission for me to ensure people have the opportunity to live life on purpose and not by accident. So, and lastly, I'm working on my speaking career. I've been a captive speaker in the finance industry off and on for the last 19 years. What does captive mean? Many people don't understand what that term means. I walk into a room and there's people there specifically for a finance conference or to learn about insurance or any of the different things that can happen within financial planning. And I'll go up on stage and I'll communicate with them about a specific strategy or product, but there's no real connection to a story. There's no real connection to the audience. So I want to be that speaker that gets up on stage and my focus is vulnerability and the story of what I've gone through and how I've made a difference in other people's lives, not about a specific product. That should happen at the end of any relationship. I just want to give people hope that they can have a better tomorrow, that they can escape the hamster wheel of life, that lastly, they do deserve to live a life on purpose, not by accident, and it can happen. All you have to do is be a willing participant. So 54 years of age today, right? You'll notice my background picture of the earth. I thought it was fitting, 54 trips around the sun, and I'm more excited now in my life than I ever have been, because as I continue to level up my 6 inches between my ears and continuing to evolve my associations so that those associations will always help me level up. And lastly, I'll give you an idea what I mean by that. I have associations right now and I belong to masterminds that are specific to my speaking, my author, my book, and my coaching business. And then I belong to masterminds where people are helping me level up in my mindset and how I think and how I approach people and how I'm building my business. And lastly, I'm even in a mastermind that helps out with my podcast, because I always want to be continuing to climb, to level up, to be the best version of myself in all levels of my life. And again, as I mentioned prior, I'm going to be a work in progress the rest of my life. So I appreciate you listening. I appreciate all of you that are supporters of the Give a Heck podcast, the Give a Heck brand itself. If you'd like to learn more and you haven't had an opportunity, check out, I'll give you 2 different website addresses. Go to www.dwighteck.com/give-a-heck. And if you pay the shipping and handling, I'll send you my book for free. And if you want to find out more about me on the finance end or my podcast, you can certainly go to www.giveaheck.com, and you can go into the portal and you can check out my podcast. You can check out my finance page and find out more about me and what it is that I do for people. So I appreciate you listening. I appreciate your support. If you're a brand new listener, subscribe to the show. I really appreciate a review and a ranking on the site. That's how it basically gets out to more people, is when people review and rank the podcast. So I look forward to talking to you in the next podcast, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you for taking time out of your day and listening to Give a Heck. If you find value, I'd appreciate you sharing with your friends and family so they too can learn how to live life on purpose, not by accident. So you do not miss the next episode, please subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, and please also post a review. I look forward to reading your comments. This has been Dwight Heck. If you want to check out other podcast episodes or today's show notes, please check out my website, giveaheck.com. And until next time, together let us all strive to give a heck.